Hello chess fans! Today I'm going to show you a game I played at a recent tournament. And so right before the round I just checked what my opponent plays and I saw they played a London. And so I didn't really have much time to prep, so I decided to play this really simple setup that I think could lead to a lot of nice positional wins for black. So the game started off with d4. I decided to go for knight f6. So yeah, this weapon against London, you have to play this knight f6 move. Bishop f4, e6. And you could also start with c5, but c5 allows d5 immediately. So e6 is maybe the more solid way to start. e3 here, c5. My opponent went for knight d2, which is sort of an accurate move order. You really don't know whether you're going to commit to c3 or knight f3. Usually those moves are a little bit more committal, so knight d2 is less committal. Now, granted, you can no longer play knight c3 and go for Jobava, so that is give and take. So knight d2, knight c6, c3. So it ends up transposing because he played c3 right after. And now I went for this move h6, which is the sort of first weird move because it's not developing a piece, and it doesn't really seem to be doing much. Now the idea here is to play knight h5, where if they were to go knight f3, they don't have bishop g5. And it's also sort of a waiting move because you want to see what white commits to. For example, now if they go for h3 after d5, I don't know, something like knight f3, you can go bishop d6. And okay, they've wasted this move with h3. Now they can no longer go bishop g3, which is typically what white wants to do. Because now if they go bishop g3, you can just take it and ruin their structure. So yeah, they don't want to waste a move with h3. Now here, the best move, my opponent actually didn't end up playing it, was bishop d3. And I think my opponent said this after the game. Here there's a few different options. You can go for knight h5. Or sorry, you can go for d5. That's sort of the whole idea, is to go d5 one move later. And now they commit to knight f3. Again, if they commit to h3, now you can go for bishop d6. But they commit to knight f3. Now you have a few options. So knight h5 is one of the options, winning the bishop pair. But after something like this, for example, now they go h3 to threaten to retreat the bishop. After takes, knight f6, f4. This position is like plus 0.3, but I honestly don't think this is that very pleasant at all for black. Even though we have the bishop pair, white has gotten rid of their bad bishop because they put all their pawns on dark squares, and then they have a very, very fluid attack with g4, g5 coming if we castle kingside, so we really can't do that. And so, yeah, I don't recommend knight h5. Instead of that, maybe bishop d6 is a lot more reasonable. Here, knight e5 can be met with something like queen d7, knight f3, knight d7. And here the position should be completely equal after a bunch of exchanges. But honestly, I like black's position there. I don't think it's too bad. Usually, white's going to play e4, and then we're going to get the minority attack. And we're going to get a central advantage. And those are really good positions to know how to play. So yeah, knight e5 is not the main move. Here they can go bishop g3, using the fact they haven't committed to h3 here. And here you should really definitely take. Here, castles I think would be a mistake on account of knight e5 and f4 being a good possibility after something like queen c7. So you should definitely take. And now your h6 move makes sense, right? Because no longer is the h7 pawn under threat. And here there's pretty much a way to force a draw with like queen d6, castles. This is just a sample line. But yeah, this position is completely equal. And the games here all are 100% draws. So that's a way to force the game to a draw with queen d6. Now, if you want to play for a win, maybe queen b6 is a little bit more ambitious. Something like rook b1, a5, castles, rook e1, and knight g4, looking for e5 to retake with the knight. And for example, this was just a sample line, and here black is actually doing quite well. And here probably black has a slight, or the position is still equal, but at least black can attempt to pull from here. So yeah, there's definitely some interesting lines where white plays bishop d3. There's nothing too concrete. It's very positional and very much a game has to be played. But okay, my opponent ended up going for knight f3. And now actually at any point my opponent could have gone for knight f3. So at this point he could have gone for knight f3, which would have made the setup even stronger. At this point, after knight d2, he could have gone knight f3, like after knight d2 first, knight c6, now knight f3. So at any point if your opponent plays knight f3, now this h6 move just becomes so much stronger. As we can see, my opponent eventually played knight f3, and now knight h5 makes all the sense in the world. And here we actually start having a lot of fun as black. And actually very quickly I got a very nice position. So here the best move is probably takes, in which case after takes, you can take the pawn immediately, but it's better to insert this intermezzo move, attacking the pawn. And now after they defend, now you take, because now after knight e4, they no longer have knight d6. Notice that if you went bishop takes first, then knight e4, bishop e7, knight d6 has been played. Now this has actually been played by some really strong players. I'm really not sure why they didn't play queen c7, but okay. Here they opted for this position, and then after queen e7, white is actually not doing too badly here. It's about equal. But after queen c7, bishop e7, I think here black is slightly better. So Yeah, that's probably white's best option. My opponent ended up going for bishop g3, which is not a bad option, but it sort of allows black to have easy play. Now after d5, we got exactly what we wanted. We have the bishop pair. They don't have this knight e5 move. They don't have this f4 move. Their structure is a little bit worse, and yeah, they don't have any targets at all. So yeah, very, very nice position from the opening, and I was very happy because I didn't really prep anything at all, and I got a nice position. So here my opponent was a little bit scared. So if they went for a move like bishop d3, I think my opponent just said that they didn't really want to play this position. After like bishop e7, castles, it looks pretty unpleasant. Now here actually white has an advantage if they go for like this move g4, which has really good win rates in the database, looking for g5, and I guess the pawn here is pinned, so it's kind of dangerous per se. After d takes c4, bishop moves, and then g5, and okay, I guess it's unpleasant. But instead of that, that's not so easy to see. Instead of that, the natural like castles is just like black is slightly better. I have the bishop pair for pretty much no reason. I'm probably going to take here, have a minority attack and the bishop pair, and there's lots to play for here. Black is positionally better. But instead of that, my opponent rushed things with this move knight e5, which is sort of maybe a bad idea. Like the structure doesn't really make sense. Obviously, I took some time here. Takes, bishop d7, preventing bishop b5 check, and now already I have the bishop pair, and they have this really, really bad structure. I was feeling good here. They went f4, which I thought was reasonable because they wanted to defend the pawns. But okay, again, even though it's a reasonable move, it's further weakening. Here I went queen b6, and here I was pretty much hoping my opponent would play rook b1 in case I have queen a5 for free. And then if they go like a3, I can go like c4 and then bring the bishop here. And if they go rook back, then I got queen a5 for free. So I was hoping my opponent would do this. But they hovered playing rook b1, but they ended up playing queen b3, which is the better move. Here I went bishop c6 so that my queen can move, and also maybe if the bishop ever moves, the g2 pawn hangs. And here my opponent probably should have taken here, and the endgame is really bad for white there, I think, but maybe more tenable than what happened in the game. My opponent went knight f3, and here I went queen a5, which is a really, really good move. I've sort of just prepared the defense of this, and now that they've gone here, I'm looking to exploit this pin. And here, if they ever castle, then I can start going b4, b5, and they should be just completely losing. And here my opponent went bishop b2, and here I can continue playing cat and mouse by playing this move bishop e7, but I thought actually that my position was good enough to where they couldn't castle if I played my next move, and I ended up playing castles queenside, which is the best move. Now here, if they castle kingside, they should just be losing actually after g5. I think this is just losing. Something like this with bishop h6 to come just is completely losing, and they can't even castle queenside either because of bishop a4 winning the rook. So I thought that and if you're wondering, queen a3, there's c4, and something like this. I don't really see the immediate win, but okay, yeah, this is now being threatened, I guess. Queen a2. Oh yeah, there's queen c3, yeah. And so there's an immediate win. So they can't castle either way, so I thought this was good. So their only move is pretty much queen c2, right? Because now they have to get out of the way of bishop a4, skewering the king, and then maybe they can also threaten some ideas, which I won't get into right now. Okay, but after queen c2, I spent a really long time calculating here. There's a lot of different moves you can play. I mean, pretty much there's only two actually. So the only two candidate moves, take a few seconds and pause to see if you can find them, are bishop e7 or d4, sorry. And these are the only pretty much moves that make any sense. And I calculated both of these for a long time. I spent a long, long time on this move d4, because if d4 works, then black should just be winning. Now, what I calculated was ed, cd, and now this move b4, using the fact that the pawn defends here and attacking the queen. And here I sort of had two candidates. Now here the best move, according to the engine, is queen a3. And this one didn't make fully sense to me, because after b5, something like takes, cd being inserted here, and now like bishop takes, I guess this position is winning. Yeah, here you're not even supposed to take here because of rook d1. Yeah, so I guess that's what I saw. I didn't really fully calculate this at all. But okay, yeah, the position says that black is minus 0.5 here. I didn't really understand that in the game, and I didn't really calculate queen a3 to the extent it should have. I just sort of saw b5, and I didn't like the position after cd. So instead of that, the two moves I was calculating were this move, queen b6. And here, I ended up rejecting queen b6 because I saw knight d4, bishop b4, threatening so that if it takes, then the knight would hang. Now, if he takes here, then now the queen is pinned. This should be completely winning. So instead of that, he has this move king f1, now just getting out of the pin of this, and I just didn't really see what to do. I thought, okay, my bishop is hanging, and he's also threatening takes and then to take my bishop. I mean, I guess not immediately, maybe with bishop f3 and rook b1 inserted. But here I thought, okay, maybe I play bishop c5, but then rook b1, queen c7, takes. It's not so clear. We have opposite color bishops. Yeah, he has a weak pawn. Maybe he has a weak king. And maybe his rook is hard to get in the game, but it doesn't seem so obvious for me. And here, black is minus 0.5 as well, So this line is also pretty much very similar to the other line, but I didn't really fully evaluate it correctly at all, pretty much. So instead of that, queen b6 is also a playable move, but I ended up going for queen a4. I ended up calculating queen a4 further, and after queen a4, queen takes a4, takes, knight d4, bishop b4. This is the position I sort of got to, and I thought, okay, I should be winning here, because if he takes, I take here. We have same color bishops, and my pieces are incredibly active there. This bishop is an absolute monster. This pawn is hanging. Now I ended up rejecting this also because of rook c1. And then I thought, okay, if I take, I can't really do anything else. I calculate d3 here, but then after like bishop d1, I mean, I could even be at risk of losing this position, right? So can't go d3. So then I have to take king b8, and after a3, like my bishops are not even active. Yeah, I have the bishop pair, but like what's my bishop doing here? He's gonna go king f2, and this doesn't look convincing at all. Apparently this is the same evaluation as all the other positions, which is minus 0.5. But okay, after evaluating all those positions, I thought, okay, clearly breaking the tension so early is maybe not ideal. So I decided to go for this move, bishop e7, just sort of waiting on the tension. And this is the second best move. d4 was slightly better in all those positions, but okay, it was really unclear to evaluate what was happening after b4 there. But okay, my opponent decided to castle here, and I went for g5, which is sort of logical. And yeah, I sort of played g5 instantly, and this was sort of my whole idea. I thought I was significantly better here, and I thought, okay, I shouldn't have to worry. But here my opponent played a very, very, very nice move, and I recommend taking some time to find it. I don't think it's particularly difficult. My opponent actually played it in like literally 20 seconds. So yeah, very nice find by my opponent, and it's a move that I very much underestimated, which is b4. So yeah, strong move. And the idea is you're just going to open files on the queen side because that's where you want to attack the king. And I've pushed my pawn to c5, and so I've allowed you to pretty much do that. Now, if I were to take, now here I didn't really spend too long actually, but if I were to take, after takes, knight d4, I'm actually completely lost. Here I saw this move like queen a4, but then he can just defend his queen, and I'm going to lose his pawn on c6, and bishop b5 comes, and yeah, I'm just getting absolutely ruled on the queen side. Instead of that, I could also play queen c5, and I thought about this draw briefly, but he doesn't have to go for the draw at all. He can go king c, queen c1, and there's no draw to be had. Now, if queen a3, he can actually just take here, because once I take, then the rook comes in the game. So yeah, that's why you can't really take the pawn. Now, I didn't really actually calculate any of that. I mean, I did. I saw the drawing line, but okay, it was pretty obvious to me that I can't take the pawn. So instead of that, the other two moves I was calculating are either queen a4 or bishop a4, and I was also more inclined to go queen a4 because of my previous calculations, I guess. But bishop a4 was a move I briefly calculated. I ended up rejecting it because of queen c1, queen c7, and queen a3, and I just thought, okay, this really can't be good because my bishop has to go back. If it goes back, then I go here, and if I go here, then maybe there's like b5 idea. The rook comes to the b file. It looks really unpleasant. Here, apparently, the best move is b5, which, okay, I was not going to play b5. I didn't even consider b5. And yeah, I didn't even consider either of these moves actually either because it just looked so bad. Like even I guess not takes. What should white do here? Yeah, b5 is best. Takes. Rook b1, queen a6. Okay, I mean the engine really loves black there. So maybe rook b1 first. Then the position is about equal. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I didn't really consider any of that after queen a3. I thought I was just losing. So I ended up going for queen a4, which I thought was the best move, and my opponent took very quickly. This was expected. They don't really have another move, otherwise I'm actually just going to win the pawn. Takes, now b takes. And here I made another bad move, which I should have just played here. And after my opponent goes knight d4, then we would just kind of transpose. They wouldn't go rook takes because that ruins their structure, but I gave them the additional opportunity after like takes here to go for this move king f2, which maybe they should have done. The reason why I guess it's an opportunity here is because after king f2 here, I don't have to take here anymore. I could go like, I guess the engine really loves king b8. I'm not even sure why. After takes, knight g5. Okay, the engine absolutely adores this, and I guess this pawn is not even hanging, and the structure is just, ooh, it's atrocious. So yeah, that could have been avoided, but okay, such move order nuances are, I don't think, extremely relevant at my level. But okay, takes, and now knight d4, and okay, I guess he had king f2 there, but okay, knight d4 is so natural. Now I'm bishop d7. Now bishop d7 is sort of a flawed idea. I wanted to go for this move f6, but okay, maybe the position wasn't as pleasant as I thought. Here I should really definitely go for h5, and after king f2 go h4. Try to get rid of my weakness here on on the h file. And after like bishop e7, he can never win the pawn, and quite possibly if he doesn't go like rook h1, I can try and trade it off. So okay, rook h1, this is just a sample line. But okay, instead of that, bishop d7 was played, king f2, rook f8, rook h1. Here I was feeling kind of good, honestly. I thought my position was pretty equal, and I thought that I had lots of chances to try and win here because I still have the bishop pair, and okay, my structure is worse and he's really, really solid, but okay, there are some breaks here. Like if I get e5 off at the right time, then okay, I could try targeting these weaknesses. Rook e8 here, bishop f8, g4. Yeah, actually at some point here, under all these moves, he actually should have played this move c4, and that would have just completely equalized always. But I guess he might have not even been playing for equality either at this point here. It feels kind of pleasant. Yeah, here was the point at which he had c4 the most. Here at c4, this position takes in rook c1, and the position is really, really unpleasant. After here, rook c4, the bishops are alive. My structure is absolutely atrocious, and yeah, white is doing really, really well here. Now it's really nothing concrete. That's sort of one of the difficult things about this position. Sorry. Is that there's nothing actually concrete about this position. Like, yeah, white's plus 0.5 here actually, but there's no like knockout blow. There's no really obvious way to put pressure. So this is like the type of position that, okay, if your lower rated opponent finds this, like, okay, kudos to them, but it's the type of position that I guess you can take a risk as a higher rated because it's just not obvious. You have to let your opponent find the best moves, and okay, if your opponent finds the best moves, clearly they are very underrated. But my opponent didn't, and they ended up playing this move g4, which I think is the first sign of going in the wrong direction. G4, G5 was not the correct plan at all here. My pawn on H6 is just a weakness, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to try and get rid of that. And I went for bishop G7, rook G1, rook F8. Yeah, just getting out of the way of G5 and also connecting rooks. Yeah, rook F8 was the best move there. King E2, King C7. Yeah, these are just moves for the sake of playing moves. And now my opponent goes G5. And here I was actually really happy because like I got rid of one of my weaknesses. I have one less weakness. Now my structure is even better than yours because after takes, he took this way. I thought he should have taken this way, preventing E5, and also try to get the rooks doubled here somewhere. But okay, this is also apparently equal. But after this, I have 2 pawn islands. You have 3 pawn islands. Your pawns are weaker than mine. I have the bishop pair. I thought, okay, now I have everything to play for now. Now I don't think I'm worse anymore. Previously, I thought I was worse, though I did underestimate c4. Okay, now I went bishop h8. Probably, I don't know why I didn't go this first. I thought that this was just giving him a free tempo because he wanted to play this anyways, which ended up happening in the game actually after bishop g4 here, rook g6. So I was I guess correct, but it also makes me lose a tempo because now I have to go bishop f6, which I end up playing here, which is just like, okay, so I guess I didn't realize that I had to play bishop f6 anyways. Like from afar, I thought, okay, rook g6 is a good move for him. Why would I give that to him for free? But okay, I have to go bishop f6 anyways. So I guess a waste of a move from both of us. Okay, so now my opponent played rook g2, which is sort of just a move that doesn't really do much. I went for king e7, defending my bishop, and now I have a concrete idea. Now my structure is solid, and there's no way he can break in on the h file. And so now I can try to target the pawn on the c file or the h file. So my opponent went for king d2. I went for rook h8, first taking control of the h file, so that my opponent has no counterplay. Bishop e2. This is just pretty much doing nothing. Now I go rook c8. Bishop d3, rook c5, and now after rook c8, he'd actually have no way to defend the c3 pawn, so he lashes out with his move e4, which is again a mistake. Here, I guess what he should have done is go rook g8, which is, yeah, actually rook g8 is fairly obvious, to be honest. Like after rook a5, bishop e1, rook h3. I mean, it's still difficult. Like white is going to have to defend here for a long time, and I think positionally my opponent was also under a lot of pressure for the whole game, and they were also starting to get lower on time, so I think that, okay, e4 is a type of move you see to lash out when you try to, they thought that maybe they could defend on this side, but after takes b6, I have no weaknesses. Now you have an even worse structure. Your pawns are not connected at all, and I have the bishop pair, and my bishops are doing a great job eyeing this. He went for king d3, and now I probably should have just gone here. I'm not actually even sure why I didn't. After knight e2, I just have like bishop e5, and then king d2, or I guess, no, not bishop e5. Okay, just take the pawn. Yeah, similar thing happened to the game actually, but yeah, that would have just been completely winning on the spot. Instead, I played rook d8, trying to be a little bit cheeky with bishop b5. Really no need for this. He went here, now bishop b5. Now I guess I win a pawn. And at this point, the endgame is completely winning. Here, I actually missed a very easy win. Take a few seconds to see if you can find it. I ended up playing a more difficult win, but here the easy win is just takes, and then bishop c6. Honestly, I have no idea how I missed this. This is like fairly beginner tactics, but okay, you know, such things can be missed, I guess. After rook a5, we actually just transposed to what happened in the game. But I went rook d7, which allowed him to keep rooks on the board, which didn't make sense for me. Like, why would I allow him to keep rooks on the board? But he decided just not to keep rooks on the board. I mean, made it a little bit easier for me. Here he went king d4, and here I went king c7, and that was just... I'm very lucky, actually, after king c7. I completely missed my opponent could go rook c2. And here it's so risky, because if I go king d6, this position is actually just a complete draw. After king c4, it's just a draw. And I saw this, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, did I really blunder for a second? Just for like maybe 1 second. And so then I was just like, okay, if I can't go king c6, then maybe I take here. But then this is also a draw. Like, there's no win here. And I was like, okay, wait, I can't get this bishop endgame. Like, this is just so bad. But thankfully for me, I'm lucky I have this move bishop c6. What a lifesaver. Idea being that now he has to keep attached to here. And okay, if we get the kicking endgame, the position is easily winning. So, and okay, if he takes the pawn, then his bishop's hanging. And so he can't do that. And if he takes here, then okay, the rook endgame is also winning. It's just the bishop endgame that wasn't winning. So my opponent went rook e2, and then we got the king and pawn ending. It's not that difficult. I mean, maybe my opponent should have gone here, check, king e3. Could have made it more difficult with b5. And okay, at the end of the day, it's everything is winning here. It's not too difficult to win. So takes check here. I end up repeating once because I thought this was check, rook f3. You had to do some calculation here. Like, it's probably winning, but yeah, I guess king e4 is just easily winning. But there was no need for me to start calculating everything. And if I go back, like, I mean, okay, this is just like I have to calculate quite a bit here now. So no need to calculate anything. Just go rook a4, take the pawn with tempo, and then bring your king behind the pawn. Now you have another pass pawn, and here my opponent actually ended up resigning. So yeah, I was pretty happy with this game. I think that I did misplay it a little bit in the middle game. I should have played d4. I also very much underestimated b4. But okay, I ended up putting pressure on my opponent, and my opponent actually ended up caving under the pressure, which I think is a very usual way for me to beat lower rateds, and a very usual way for higher rateds to actually beat me. The same thing happens. We get equal position, and then you slowly just get outplayed by the player that's high rated. So yeah, I also think this is an interesting weapon against the London. So if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.